recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
Gotmark76 this week, 1990.
That missile dropkick! Simmons getting back to his feet! The Z-Man sent, Perch flies and hits! The missile dropkick off the top rope! The Z-Man goes for the cover! This would be a huge upset! 1, 2, and 3! Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of World Championship Wrestling. We have a great show lined up for you today. We begin with a 2-on-1 handicap match as Sid Vicious takes on Agent Steel and Lee Scott. The U.S. title will be on the line as the total package Lex Luger defends against dangerous Dan SPivey. And our main event, a 6-man tag, as Rick and Scott Steiner team up with the World Heavyweight Champion Sting as they battle the Four Horsemen, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and Nature Boy Ric Flair. We will also have an announcement regarding the #1 contendership to the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. Regardless of who it may be after tonight's program, as Sid with a big clothesline on Lee Scott, as Agent still recovering in the corner. Sid throws in Lee Scott, and he just walks over that top rope, and a big boot takes down Lee Scott. And Sid firing away with a series of right hands. This man is dangerous. And you put him with Dan SPivey, and the tag team scene here in World Championship Wrestling may not just be big enough for everybody, as Sid Vicious working the neck area of Lee Scott. And an elbow drop by Sid, and Lee Scott could have been pinned there, but Sid did not go for the cover. Picks up Scott, front face lock. And Scott, trying to fight back, takes down Sid, stopping away. Lee Scott trying to mount a comeback. Oh, and Sid Vicious just rolled through Lee Scott, setting up Scott. A series of elbows to the head, and Lee Scott goes down with a thud. Vicious picks up Scott, has him on the front face lock in a bear hug. And Lee Scott gonna have to submit here. I don't see him getting out of this maneuver. Oh, and wait, Sid just let him go. And Sid howling to the crowd here at center stage. Knocks off Agent Steel off the ring. Down to the floor goes Agent Steel. Sid picks up Scott, has his hand wrapped around Scott's throat. You know what that means? Up and down with a giant choke slam. Sid picks up Scott. We know what's coming next. It's gonna be the power bomb. He has him set up and down with a thud. You can count to 50. Oh, what? Sid going over Agent Steel knocks him off again. This match is over. Your winner, Sid Vicious. And a statement being made by Big Sid Vicious, taking out 2 men at one time. And here is a look back, a replay. That devastating choke slam followed up by the power bomb. And a knockout for Agent Steel for good measure, and Sid with the victory. Fans, don't go away. We have a word from Theodore R. Long, the manager of the World Tag Team Champions Doom, and that is coming up next. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. welcome back as the U.S. title will be on the line. The total package Lex Luger defending against Dangerous Dan SPivey, and these two men exchanging blows in the early going. Lex Luger throws SPivey into the ropes and a power slam down. Could this match be over? Luger does not go for the cover, but instead doing more work on the neck area of Dangerous Dan. And of course, stay tuned. We have a big announcement coming up after this match regarding the U.S. Championship and the #1 contender. As Luger firing away on Dan SPivey. Into the ropes goes SPivey, and a big elbow by Luger takes down Dangerous Dan. So Lex Luger successfully defended the U.S. title at the Great American Bash against a former teammate of Dan SPivey, Mean Mark Callis, former member of the Skyscrapers. And now SPivey in the ring challenging Luger for the U.S. title. SPivey has many more years under his belt, so Luger fought somebody who was 6'10", 318 at the Bash. Is fighting somebody who's 6'8", 305 here with a lot more experience. And Dangerous Dan now in control with an axe handle to the back, and down goes Luger. Dan SPivey spending some time in Japan. A working relationship, of course, with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Talent exchange happens frequently with that company over in Japan. One of the reasons why we have such stars here as Big Van Vader. And a spine buster, down goes Luger. SPivey does not go for the cover, but Luger trying to fight back and does. Into the corner goes Luger, charging, moves out of the way. Inside cradle, SPivey pins, referee counts 1, and a kick out at 1 by SPivey. And Luger drops a leg, but I think he did more damage to himself there. An elbow drop, Luger back in control, climbs a second turnbuckle, has SPivey lined up and nails a splash. Does not go for the cover, wants to inflict more punishment. A big right hand, SPivey down to a knee. A forearm, SPivey down on the mat. Luger picks up SPivey. A reversal by SPivey, into the ropes goes Luger, a stalemate. SPivey with a back body drop, down goes Luger. SPivey misses with a kick. And Luger now with an overhead slam, down goes SPivey, 300 pounds plus, thrown over the head of the total package. Drops an elbow. Luger in control, goes for the cover, will he retain? 1, 2, and a kick out of 2 by Dan SPivey. And now Luger with a series of knees and a high knee lift, staggers SPivey, but does not take him down. Luger throws SPivey into the turnbuckle, climbing the ropes. And he's pounding away with right hands, and SPivey pushes Luger down. SPivey now trying to make a comeback. Has his hand around Luger's neck. Could it be? He's up and down with a choke slam. SPivey choke slamming Luger. Could he be setting him up for the power bomb? Kick to the midsection, blocked by Luger. Luger with an elbow. But SPivey picks up Luger for a slam. And down to the mat goes Luger. Luger had the power bomb well scouted, but did not block the slam. And SPivey goes to recover. 1, 2, and 3. No! Luger barely gets up. Barely gets up. Luger barely got up, and SPivey going to work still on Luger. But Lex Luger's shoulder barely got up, and Luger with a big right hand. And I think SPivey, no, it's Luger. Luger's been busted open. Don't ask me how that happened, but Luger got busted open. And into the turnbuckle goes SPivey, and Luger now climbing up again. We saw this before. 1, 2. A series of right hands on SPivey. The count crowning along to 7 before SPivey shoves Luger down. A shoulder block by Luger. Spivey down again. And a big clothesline. But Luger can't capitalize. He needs to recover and recoup. Picks up Spivey. What's he have in mind here? Throws Spivey into the turnbuckle. Charges. Nails a clothesline in the corner. And down goes Dangerous Dan. Luger in control. Picks up Spivey. Big right hand blocked by Spivey and a forearm of his own. Spivey with a clothesline. Takes down Luger, and Luger rolls to the outside. Spivey following him out. And a big boot by Spivey takes down Luger. And that is not going to help the gash on the forehead of the package. But Luger has Spivey up for the press slam down on the concrete. The strength of the total package. And slamming Dan Spivey down to the concrete floor. Luger back into the ring. He'll take a count-out victory. He'll retain the title if Spivey gets counted out here. But Spivey slides back in before the 6 count. Is met with a big right hand. Luger throws Spivey into the ropes. Going for a power slam blocked by Spivey. And an elbow to the side of the head, and I think Luger's ears are ringing. Spivey has Luger again. Could it be another choke slam? Up and down goes the total package. We could see a new U.S. champion here. Spivey setting up for the power bomb. He's going to go for it again, but no, Luger again blocked it. Had it well scouted. Kicked it in. Oh, here it comes. No, wait, Spivey has him up, and an airplane spin. Down goes Luger. I thought we were going to see the power bomb there, but no. Spivey did an airplane spin instead. Off the ropes. Drops a leg across the throat of Luger. We're going to have a new U.S. champion. But Spivey wants to inflict more punishment. A series of right hands into the forehead of Luger, who's been busted open. And Spivey now. Luger exchanging blows. Elbow by Luger. Kick to the midsection. Sets up Spivey. Setting him up for a pile driver. Spikes him down. Luger nails the pile driver on Spivey. Can he get the pinfall? Here is a replay of that spike pile driver. Will Luger retain? He goes for the cover. Hooks the leg. Referee counts 1, 2, and no! Spivey kicks out. Both men had the other man pinned, and they both escaped when the hand was coming down for 3. And Luger now has, no way, he has him up in the torture rack. Luger has it locked in the middle of the ring. Can Spivey escape the torture rack? That is a tall man being held up there for a long time. And Luger has to put him down. I think Luger, the fatigue, maybe the blood, had to put Spivey down. Throws him into the turnbuckle. Roll up from behind. Has Spivey pinned. Referee counts 1, 2, and 3. And your winner and still United States Heavyweight Champion, the total package, Lex Luger. And that is a similar way to how he pinned Mean Mark Callis back at the Great American Bash. Luger using his size and in this case speed against Dan Spivey to his advantage by rolling up the big man from behind. And your winner and still U.S. Heavyweight Champion, the total package Lex Luger. Here are some highlights from earlier in the contest. Here was the first of many choke slams in the contest, and Spivey went for the powerbomb on multiple occasions, but Luger had it well scouted. Luger hits the pile driver, but wins with a roll-up from behind, and your winner and still U.S. champion Lex Luger. Fans, we have an announcement regarding the U.S. title and the #1 contender. Don't go away. I'll be right back with that announcement right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed by the NWA Championship Committee that due to the actions between Paul Orndorff and Stan Hansen back at the Great American Bash, where they fought to a double countout, that the championship committee has made a best-of-7 series match between the two men. A best-of-7 series. The first man to secure 4 victories will win and be the #1 contender to the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. That begins here in 2 weeks' time. Fans, don't go away. Our main event is next as the 4 Horsemen battle the Steiner brothers and the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. And there he is making his way to the ring, the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. He defeated Nature Boy Ric Flair just a couple weeks ago at the Great American Bash. And Ric Flair can no longer receive a world title opportunity while Sting is the World Heavyweight Champion. It looks like it's going to be Arn Anderson and Rick Steiner starting for their respective teams. And a big clothesline by Rick Steiner takes down Arn Anderson. It was Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard who had better luck at the Great American Bash as they defeated the Steiner brothers. However, a big assist in that match went to Ole Anderson as Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner nailed that double team bulldog off the top rope. And when the Steiners went for the cover, Ole Anderson distracted the referee and the referee did not make the count. And the match would have been over there, but it was not meant to be. The Steiners did have other opportunities to capitalize, but Arn and Tully pulled out the victory in a very hard-fought contest. As Rick sets up Anderson against the ropes and a back body drop over the top rope goes Rick Steiner. Ever since Ric Flair lost that match 2 weeks ago, he has kept his plans very close to the chest. He has not told anybody outside the Horsemen what his plans are, but he cannot challenge for the world title anymore. It appears that Arn and Tully, moving up the ranks in the tag team division, may be making a run to challenge for the World Tag Team Championships currently held by Doom. Of course, we were told earlier this evening that next week Doom has to defend against the Z-Man and Tommy Rich. So, could the Horsemen either face Doom or the Z-Man and Tommy Rich? That would be something to see. And one has to wonder what the plans for Nature Boy Ric Flair are. We do have a scheduled interview with Ric Flair next week. I'm sure we will ask that question to see what his future plans are. As Tully Blanchard works over Scott Steiner, stomping away on the back and now ramming the head of Scott Steiner into the mat. Ooh, a big knee in the corner. Down goes Scott Steiner. Now Tully choking out Scott. He has a count of 5 to break the maneuver and does before he gets disqualified. Scott trying to make a tag and Blanchard cuts him off. And that is the experience of Tully Blanchard, who's done almost everything he can in World Championship Wrestling. He is a former multi-time World Tag Team Champion, a former television champion, a former U.S. champion. He has done it all except win the World Heavyweight Championship, and he had a shot at Sting earlier in the year as Scott Steiner, with an overhead suplex, takes down Tully Blanchard. Misses with a kick to the back, and Tully now walks into a belly-to-belly suplex by Scott Steiner. Down goes Tully. Scott does not go for the cover, but makes a much-needed tag, and here comes the World Heavyweight Champion Sting, who was met by Tully, thrown into the corner, running Tully, and a knee in the corner. And now Tully going to work in his corner, stomping away and choking Sting with his knee. And Tully picks up Sting. What's he have in mind here? Setting him up for a spike pile driver, and down goes Sting. Tully does not go for the cover, but nails Sting with a spike pile driver, and Sting trying to fight back with a headbutt. front face lock by Tully. Has Sting, rams him head first into the top turnbuckle. Makes a tag, and here comes Flair. Double team maneuver by the Horsemen and working the arm of the Stinger. So Ric Flair cannot challenge Sting for the world title. It does not mean that Ric Flair can't try to take out and injure Sting, as he has a submission maneuver locked in the middle of the ring. It was Sting who pinned Ric Flair with an elbow drop off the top rope, a move that was not really in Sting's repertoire. But Ric Flair countered the Scorpion Deathlock on multiple occasions. You got to give Ric Flair credit for that. But Sting countered Flair's figure four. What a match that was. We advise you all to check out on demand the Gotmark76 YouTube channel. The Great American Bash 90 New Revolution is Sting in the corner. Clothesline, and down goes Flair. Scott Steiner working over Flair with a forearm to the back. And Flair, Scott throws Flair over the top rope. Scott gonna suplex Ric Flair back into the ring, and down to the mat goes Nature Boy Ric Flair. So next week shaping up to be a great program here. As we will hear from Nature Boy Ric Flair, we will ask him what his future plans are, as well as the beginning of the #1 Contenders Best of 7 series between Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff and Stan Hansen. Those two men battled all over the arena at the Great American Bash, in the garage, in catering, in the locker room. So a best of 7 may be needed here. And you have to wonder if any of those matches go to double disqualifications or double countouts. Does that give a victory to the other person as well? I mean, it's a lot of questions to be asked and answered. As Rick Steiner working the arm of Nature Boy Ric Flair. I said it before that Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard have been working up the ranks of the tag team division. And one has to wonder who the World Tag Team Champions will be after next week. But will Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson get a World Tag Team title match? As Sting, Gorilla Press slams Flair, but Flair walks right into an inverted atomic drop. Not once, Sting sets him up and hits it twice. And down goes Flair. Sting picks up Flair, throws him into the turnbuckle. Ooh, and Flair catches Sting with an elbow and a bulldog out of the corner, and down goes Sting. Flair now going for the figure four. He has it. Turns him, drops to the mat, and Sting is in trouble. But wait, Sting firing up and rolls over and reverses it. Sting reverses the figure four leg lock. But the damage may have been done. A chop. Sting throws Flair into the turnbuckle. Sets up Flair. Sting turns over Flair. Runs, charges, Stinger splash in the corner. And down goes Flair. Sting drags Flair to the center of the ring. Rolls him over. Goes for the cover. The referee counts 1, 2, and a kick out of 2 by Flair. Oh, he almost had him there. And Sting now going back to work on the Nature Boy with an elbow to the top of the head. Sting setting up Flair. Could it be the Scorpion? Sting takes down Flair. Has it locked in. Turns him over and it's locked in. The middle of the ring. Arn and Tully shouting encouragement. But Flair taps. And your winner, Sting and the Steiner brothers. What a back and forth match this was. It could have gone either way. But Flair, who had the Scorpion well scouted at the Great American Bash, submits to it here in the 6-man tag. And your winners, the Steiner brothers and the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. And here are some highlights. There's that Stinger splash in the corner. Flair, of course, kicked out at 2, but was unable to get out of the Scorpion Deathlock. And your winners, the Steiner brothers and the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. Fans, we thank you for joining us here on Gotmark76 this week. We will see you next week when the Z-Man and Tommy Rich challenge Doom for the NWA World Tag Team Championship, and we will hear what the future plans for the Nature Boy Ric Flair are. Until then, we'll see you at the matches. Goodbye, everybody.